I'm going to get back to the Saul story, but I'm going to start first with this little saying rhyme that I heard several years ago, and maybe you've seen it or heard it before. If your head can conceive it, and the message today is conceive, believe, achieve. If your head can conceive it, and your heart can believe it, then your hands can achieve it. It has a little bit of a rhythm to it. If your head can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then your hands can achieve it. I'm going to ask everybody to say it with me this time, right? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. If your head can conceive it and your heart can believe it, then your hands can achieve it. Rap music comes to Central United Church. Who knew? I don't think Drake has much to worry about. Well, we can all think of times where this rings true to us. Somebody gets an idea. Somehow they come to believe that it can be done, should be done, and then their hands, they get to work on it and they make it happen. We've maybe done that in our lives, or we can think of great inventions that have happened. I would like to add one more thing to that, and John, if you could move to the next slide. Their hands can achieve it, working with and through others. Many hands make light work, and we all know how much easier it is to make something happen. We get a bunch of people behind making it happen. So, I thought I'd like this as kind of a nice guideline to use in our lives. But as I thought about this and thought about the message here today, an idea came to me. And an idea more in the form of a question. And the question is, where do ideas come from? Where do ideas come from? We're learning a lot about the brain. We're learning a lot about parts of the brain that are involved in our different thought processes and all the nerves and neurons. But we have so much more to learn. And science, I don't think, has yet been able to answer the question, where do ideas come from? And we have computers, we're inventing kind of an artificial intelligence, but these are things that we still don't have the answer to. So I thought about that, and put some other ideas around in my mind from a Christian context. We believe that God has created the universe, and we're part of God's creation. Then my thoughts started to head towards, well, why would thoughts come from God? All right, think about that for a little while. Some of us don't always have the most brilliant ideas. Some of them are just bad ideas. So I don't know whether I should be hanging that on God's hat. But I thought more about this. And it seemed to me that perhaps ideas are a form of conversation that we have with God. And there's some ideas, see some information, think about something, and then you go, oh, isn't that neat? Isn't that interesting? Never think about that again. But there are ideas that keep coming back to us. There are ideas that we start to become more involved with or concerned about. So I thought, well, let's take a look at this saying, and maybe let's look at it in a different light. So if your head can conceive it, and especially on things that deal with caring about others, caring about the world, caring to make the world that God had planned to be a caring community. So I got to thinking that God starts a conversation with us through ideas. What needs to change to build the land that God has planned where love shines through. But, as I said, some of us, we get some ideas that aren't so hot. God does give us the capacity of our brains and the ability to reason, and our experiences, and also the life and work and teachings of Jesus to use as a measuring stick to vet our ideas against, are these ideas going to lead to helpful things? Next slide, John. if your heart can believe it. It seems to me that God stirs our passion to care and also gives us the courage to act. We have some ideas, we roll them around and thinking, something should be done, something could be done, change some things here, make the world a better place. God gives us that passion to say, this is the thing that I should be working on, I should be thinking of. But also the courage to act. Because change is hard, and there are risks. And nobody's done that before, or I haven't done that before. We need to have courage to take those steps. It doesn't take a lot of courage to make toast in the morning if you've done that before, because you kind of know what's to be expected. But if you never have done that before, you still have to do the same steps. But it's a matter of faith I put these slices in the toaster, something's going to happen. So we need courage to move forward. Faith grows in the belief that some things can be different if we take effective actions. And it's good to know that God is a source of strength to us on our journey as we're making some changes happen, and strengthens our heart that this should be done and can be done. Next slide, John. Then your hands can achieve it. God provides us with resources needed to accomplish the task, including other people who bring their skills and information to help with the projects. There are few things in life that truly cannot be done, though there are many things in life that are truly difficult to do. My life was raised on a farm. My career was working with farmers and those in food production and food processing. We can provide all the food today for every hungry person in the world. We really can. We also know that people that are going hungry is many other factors, poverty and all the things that cause poverty. Also, we do get crop failures and diseases, but we can store food up to prevent that. Unfortunately, most of the famines in the world that we have today are caused by wars and civil wars. So we actually can have the resources to provide all the food that we need, but we have challenges to face to make that happen. That's kind of some of my examples. And I was at a farm meeting one time, and one of the members of the organization had an issue, raised their hand, stood up, and asked the general manager, could this be done? Could this change be made? The general manager said, no, it can't be done. And the farmer, in his wisdom, said, well, in his life, says, I found very few things can't be done, but many things are hard to do. And the general manager responded, you know what, we'll take that back to the office and we'll see what we can do. And they were able to make the change. So often it's like we say quickly, well, I can't be done, rather than, I don't want it, it's a hard thing to do. So our hands can achieve many things. Back to the scripture reading. Jesus begins a conversation with Saul on the road to Damascus. Most of us are familiar with this conversion story. In fact, in Western culture and literature, if you said or wrote, it was a road to Damascus moment. Most people would understand that you're talking about somebody's doing a 180. They've got to change of heart, change of mind on an issue. So we're kind of familiar with that story. When I was reading the scripture lesson, the thing that jumped right out at me was Ananias and his part in the story. As the scripture reading says, Ananias had heard the word of God around. Saul, the guy that was coming to persecute them, had been made blind. Hallelujah. Saul was a brilliant man, and he was quite dedicated. He was passionate, a fanatic on, we're going to weed out these heretics. A very dangerous man. Well, he was still smart, but he, without his sight, he was going to be majorly impaired. So you can imagine the followers of Jesus being really quite happy that they've got a break here. Jesus comes to Ananias and says, Ananias, and in the scripture, the version of got a job for you to do. You're going to give Saul his sight back. Now imagine if Saul had a cell phone. OMG. Can you imagine the text messages and the tweets? Are you kidding me? You're going, this guy's dangerous. He's still dangerous. And you're asking me to go give him his sight back so then he can round us all up and take us away. And Jesus continues the conversation. And imagine the ideas that are going around in Ananias' head. And Jesus says, no, I'm going to use Saul as a tool to spread my word and my message. So he places a different idea, changes the conversation, touches Ananias' heart that there's going to be good come out of this. I'm going to make some changes here. And so Ananias says, all right, Lord. And Ananias goes and he places his hands on Saul, and Saul regains his sight. So we've kind of the head and the heart and hands being used for God's purposes. Now God is often, just when we get it all figured out, then God often throws us a curveball. So new ideas come floating into our brains. And we're still not far away from the Easter story. On Palm Sunday, Jesus came riding into Jerusalem on not even a full-age donkey. And many people were hoping that there would be a liberator, a revolutionary warrior that would overthrow the Roman occupation. And those leaders tend to come in on war horses and leading an army. And God had a different idea. That wasn't the type of Savior that he was going to send to the people of Israel. So we get these curveballs from God. I want to talk now about a lady, Betty Shannon, who was a great friend of our family. We met Betty about 7 years ago. She's a wonderfully, wonderfully smart, brilliant woman, wise woman, and a great mentor, and a great lady of faith. Betty passed away last fall after having celebrated her 97th birthday. So I didn't meet Betty till she was 90. And at her celebration service, a story was told from someone who Betty had become a spiritual mentor to in their life. Betty was raised on a farm near Arnprior, and it wasn't the best farm. It's pretty stony, she told us. Her dad also was a blacksmith, and he ran a blacksmith shop off the farm. Betty was the oldest of 5 girls. So Betty ended up becoming the blacksmith's assistant. Helped her dad out. She had quite a rapport with her father. And one day, as a young teenager in her youth, she confronted her dad, and she said, Dad, we go to church on Sundays and learn the Bible stories. And she said something along the line of, even if you only had half a brain, you'd have to know that a lot of these stories just can't possibly be true. They just make no sense at all. Well, her dad, you can imagine, those have been parents who work with young people. her dad had to think for a while. And then her dad said this, Betty, as you go through life, you're a very smart girl, but you're going to have to learn a couple of things. First, you're going to have to learn to think with your heart. And then you're going to have to learn to love with your mind. And if you can learn to think with your heart and love with your mind, you're going to see those Bible stories in a whole new way and gain a whole new understanding. So thinking on that, I thought, well, I've got this head, heart, hands thing all figured out, but now Betty's story puts a twist in there. And so thinking on that, I think what Betty's dad was saying is if you focus on caring and loving possibilities and priorities, then you can marshal all the skills and resources, God-given resources of our mind, ideas, imagination, questioning, planning, problem solving, looking for solutions that will help make loving actions and outcomes. Going restored. Ananias, one of the people that he came to persecute. One of the people that he came to persecute. We took the risk to give him his sight back. Now, having been lost his sight, Saul's had a fair bit of time to be doing a lot of thinking as well. So, how much more would it mean to Saul to know that someone who I was intended on doing harm to is the very person who has been willing to come and give me this sight back. So Ananias, thinking with his heart as Jesus had spoken to him, and then used his hands towards that purpose. So a new twist in the story, a new perspective. And Saul becomes a Christian and begins his ministry as Paul. And we have stories from the Bible that detail all the process, or all the Paul's activities in ministry. And he was able to turn that brilliant, brilliant mind to a whole different set of actions, having his heart been touched and focusing on caring for others. Next slide. Out of the cold algae. Program had started in Oxford County in Woodstock. Social agency that covered Elgin as well said, hey, this could work in Elgin. There's a need for it. Sent out letters to churches saying, hey, we'd like to discuss this idea. Central decided, okay, we could host the meeting, and there was an information meeting for anybody else other churches that wanted to come. I went to that meeting. Shirley Broadbent, I remember you being there. I remember Troy being there, and this morning service. Tom Lottaba was there. Was anybody else at that first meeting? Betty? And that's about 10 years ago, is that right? 10 years ago? I remember driving to the church for that meeting, and I thought, oh, Lord, we need this like a hole in the head. We got stuff going on in our church that, this isn't the right time. Like, there's going to be headaches, there's going to be heartaches, there's going to be, what are we doing here? But we came and we heard the information and they explained how it worked. And there were some pretty blunt questions at that meeting, like, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with that? But as they explained and people thought about it, well, the rest of the story got started, and it's not been without its hiccups along the way. But there were homeless people, and they needed food and they needed shelter, and hearts were touched, and heads were set in gear to think about how to solve all those problems, and they're not all solved yet, but we are able to provide that ministry, and many people's lives have been changed, both for the guests and as the host partner for us as hosts to provide that ministry. And Sandy told me this morning, and I wrote it down somewhere, that this past year there were 242 individual guests that utilized the services, either shelter or food here, and there were 130 volunteers, one way or another, involved in that process. So a wonderful story there. The next slide is another example. Second Mile Haiti, and the second mile is in going the second mile, and this is an organization that I work with. The Share organization has become involved with this organization. In 2010, 10% of all the Haitian children were living in orphanages. Of those children, 80% of those children actually had families. The families just could not adequately feed and care for their children. And so they put them in orphanages. Once the children had been rehabilitated in terms of they were no longer malnourished, then either they would be adopted right out of the country or they would be sent back to the families, and too many times they would just return again malnourished. Families would continue to be broken up. Two young American women who were working at one of the orphanages time. Their hearts were touched, and something needed to be done differently. And they recognized that the family's living situation is what had to change. You weren't going to change the kids being malnourished unless you could change the families, improve the family's living situation. I apologize, it's way too small. I should have known way better than that. But anyways, I'll kind of quickly go through. So they set up a program. They set up a malnutrition center in a rural area of Haiti. The children are referred to by the health care system, so it's completely medically not approved, but these children are malnourished, so they get sent there. They have a program where a caregiver lives with the child at their center for about 8 weeks, and Monday to Friday. And then the children receive the specialized food to bring them back from being malnourished, and the caregivers receive all kinds of training while they're there. Food and nutrition, health and hygiene, family planning, also literacy, because many of the people aren't literate. They also receive training in basic business entrepreneurship, how to start a business, small business. And they purposely go home on weekends, because that helps keep the family together. And they also, gardening is a big thing, how to garden, especially with the diet. They're usually lacking in protein, so protein, vegetables, and also fruit trees. And the center has started up a nursery like Cannondale, so that they can supply fruit trees and some of these protein crops to the families, so they can improve the gardens, so they're improving the nutrition. And they can start the gardening part as soon as they start going home, improving their gardens. So training for now, it's predominantly women, it's not only women, and it might be the parent or it might be a grandparent or an uncle and aunt. Next slide. And then on graduation of the program, they provide the caregivers with the possibility of starting a new business. A lot of times it's food supplies, opening a small store in their community, neighborhood, so that they have a source of additional income to help them as well. John? We have this malnutrition center, and then just recently opened a Strong Start Maternity Center, so that provides prenatal care, actually maternity hospital and postnatal care. So it's kind of a holistic approach to solving the problems behind why the children were malnourished in the first place. So, thinking on all these things, I kind of revised my little rhyme that I started with. John, slide to this. Now, if both your heart and head can conceive it, and your heart and head can believe it, then your hands can achieve it, working with and through others. Thanks be to God.